guys, how you doing? It's Andrew Watson, the golf fitness coach. So today I'm just going to talk to you about setup posture and things that we can do to help with setup posture. So there's 3 setup postures that TPI talk about. You've got S posture, you've got neutral, and you've got C posture. So S posture, we get into golfing posture, and a golfing position here. S posture is an extended lower back or an anterior pelvic tilt. So if you imagine your pelvis is a bucket of water, when we tilt that pelvis down. And what this causes is just a lack of limitation in rotation, so we find it harder to rotate. So if we got the neutral position, we can rotate a lot easier in the hips. Neutral, again, all you want looking for is neutral. If you were to hold an alignment stick on your back, it would just stay nice and flat. The back would stay nice and flat against the alignment stick. C posture is when we're hunched over. And again, this is going to cause lack of movement in the upper thoracic spine. We will again go into neutral. We can get a lot more movement in the thoracic spine. So just going to go through a few exercises that we can do at home just to help you with it. As I say, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a bad ball striker if you have these characteristics. It just means that you might be using a different part of your body, or you might be using your body inefficiently. So we're just going to help you get back to kind of learn what neutral is, what it feels like, and just take a little bit of pressure off other parts of the body that might be overcompensating. Like I said earlier, is an overextension of the lower back or an anterior pelvic tilt. And this is usually common because we have lack of core strength or abdominal strength. So one of the first things, if you have a resistance band, we're just going to grab a resistance band. And all I'm going to get you to do is we're just going to pull down on the resistance band here. We're in golf posture. And we're going to come into posterior pelvic tilt. So this time we're tilting the pelvis all the way back. We're trying to get the water at the back of the bucket. So back into anterior, and back into posterior. Once you've done that a few times, what I want you to do is just find neutral. The neutral is in between the posterior tilt and the anterior tilt. We're going to find neutral. Then all we're going to do from there is we're going to go into anterior tilt, back to neutral. Anterior, back to neutral. Okay. So if we don't have a band, all we're going to do is we're going to drive our hands into the ground. We'll start with that anterior tilt. Now we get to flatten your back against the ground. So when we pull down on the resistance band, and when we're pushing into the ground, just switching our core on and getting used to our core being switched on. So we're trying to create a gap and then flatten it. We don't want to lift up so we get into that posterior tilt. We'll create a gap and flatten. Cat position as well. So we're going to come into the quadruped position. And we're going to come into anterior tilt. Just coming up. Okay, so next one we're going to do is it's called bird dog. A little bit harder than what we've just done. We're just going to keep, as we lift up, our core is going to engage. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for engagement of the core with this, because that's the weakness. And we're just going to reach out opposite hand, opposite leg. We don't want to tilt or tilt either way. We want to keep it nice and flat. Keep the hips nice and flat as well. Coming down. Okay, so the exercise is for C posture. So as I say, C posture is when we are really hunched over in the upper back, and we can't, because of that hunch, we can't get a lot of thoracic rotation. We go back into that neutral position. Being able to rotate, it allows us to be able to rotate properly, and that way create a lot more power and a lot more sort of elasticity. So when we're immobile in this position, it usually happens because we're taught that we need our head over the ball. Now the way to get our head over the ball normally is we'll just sort of almost sit back into that position. For a lot of us it comes second nature, but for a lot of people it's not. So therefore, if you can't hip hinge, then you're going to get your head over the ball by flexing from your neck or your thoracic spine, and therefore creating that C position or C posture where we're a lot more hunched over the ball. So exercise one, all we need to do is we can grab golf club, we're going to bring it up, we'll create a W with our hands, and then from here we're going to find a chair, and all I want you to do is to almost, you're not going to sit all the way down because we don't want to sit down, we just want to try and reach back as far as we can go, keeping the shins vertical. So we don't want to allow the shins to come forward. Let's stay nice and vertical, so we're hip hinging down just as far as you can go, coming back up. So as I say, the chair is just there to give you a target to aim for. And all this is doing is just teaching you how to get into that position, which allows us to get into more of an athletic stance and being able to rotate properly. Why we sometimes get rounded shoulders is, a lot of us are sitting at desks and do desk work, and it's natural to be in this position, so our pecs become short and tight, which pull us into that position, and your rhomboids become weak. So a really good exercise for this is we're just going to lie on our front, and all I want you to do is lift up our chest and our head off the ground. It's really important that we're not lifting from our lower back. So what I want you to imagine is you try to keep your ribs, your last couple of ribs, just connected to the floor. To make this a little bit harder, all we're going to do is switch across. So arms straight up to start off with, and as we come up, so there we have a few exercises, guys, to help with setup position and setup posture. As I say, if you have these characteristics in your swing, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have problems. It just means that your body might be using other parts to help create the power or help create the rotation. So if you want to get more efficient, if you want to take a little bit of pressure off those other body parts, and these are great exercises to help you feel what it's like to get into neutral position and help work the muscles that we need to be working to keep that neutral position. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay at home, guys. Cheers.